Hi, everybody. My name's Chelsea Sutton. I'm part of Rogue Artists Ensemble. Thank you so much for tuning in to Campfire Stories. Rogue and East West Players have collaborated on ghost stories over the years, and we thought we'd gather everyone around a virtual campfire tonight to just share a few tales of the season since we're all kind of stuck at home. If you're not familiar with our companies, East West Players is the nation's premier Asian American theater. It's committed to raising visibility of Asian American experience by presenting innovative, world-class theatrical productions, developing artists of color, and providing impactful youth education programs. And Rogue Artists has been producing critically acclaimed, successful works in LA for many years, since 2001. And we've originated over 25 original productions, actually, in LA. And we create what we call hyper theater, which is original, immersive, multidimensional experiences that celebrate the complexity and diversity of LA. So East West Players and Rogue got together in 2017, and we produced our first full-scale horror immersive theater experience, Kaidan Project, Walls Grow Thin, which some of you may have seen. We took over the 6-story warehouse and created this matrix of unnerving and intimate rooms inspired by traditional Japanese ghost stories. So we have plans to do more Kaidan immersive theater. And we wanted to do a chapter 2 this year, but of course we're all stuck at home and cannot do that quite. But if you stick around to the end of this broadcast, I'll be able to give you a little glimpse of something that we're cooking up. So we will be able to share a chapter 2 with you very soon. Okay, enough of that, blah, blah, blah. I want to invite our very first speaker. Some of you probably know her. This is Marilyn Tokuda. Hi, Marilyn.
Hi, Chelsea.
So if you don't know her, she's this wonderful actress and arts advocate, and she was actually the East West Players arts education program manager or director for many years, right?
That's correct.
And yep. You just finished a film. What was the name of that film?
Gatlop.
Gatlop. Yeah. All right, everybody.
Who knows if the name will be the same? Who knows? You're always right.
Yeah.
Supposed to be transformations. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and I'm gonna just give you the virtual stage for a minute and tell a story.
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for asking me to do this, both Rogue and East West Players. I was the arts education director for many years, so I was very familiar with the building, of course. But anyway, my paranormal experiences actually go back way back when I was 11 years old, but I never talked about these experiences because I thought people would think I'm crazy. But because so many people have had paranormal experiences, I know that I'm not crazy now. It's just another, living in another dimension, whatever, but they do exist. So anyway, a few of them. The first one, when I was 11 years old, I was not feeling well, and my mother was having a meeting in the other room. And I looked up, and there was a bed across from me because I shared it with my sister. And when I opened my eyes, I saw a form there. I didn't know what it was. It didn't scare me, but it was clearly sitting down on the bed, and it was just like crossing its arms or something. It had no shape, but I knew it was human. I just felt it was a human body. And it was kind of peering at me, looking at me, and observing me. I closed my eyes thinking, it was a hallucination or something. But when I opened them again, it was still there. And then I closed it again. And when I opened my eyes, it was gone. So it didn't freak me out, but I was very puzzled by that experience. And now looking back, I think we had this basement. Basements are all scary, but we had these swing doors. And often I would hear them going back and forth. And I often wonder if it was that whoever was there that day. So my second experience was when I was on a underground tour in Seattle. And I actually have a picture here, but we were just going through, and we were on First Street or something. We're looking through the oldest and the first mortuary. And I looked up the stairs, and it's a modern building, but looking up the stairs, and I literally put my phone up, and I wasn't even looking at what I was doing. I just clicked it 4 times really fast. And this is what I got. Hold on here. So there are 4 shots here. And I will show you. So this is the first flash. I don't know if you can see it. You can just see a flash, right? Okay. Here's the second one. You see another flash, just another good maneuver, Marilyn. Flash. And here's the third photo. And I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to pull back here a little bit. Can you see there is, maybe you can't see it. Anyway, there's a figure of a woman in period clothing. Darn, it's hard to make out. Anyway, it is clear cut, and it's an apparition. I'm sorry, you can't see this more. Is it? All right. Well, anyway, if you were here, you'd be able to see that it was clearly an apparition dressed in period 1920s clothing. She had a hat on and very elegant. So anyway, those were my childhood in Seattle experiences. When I worked at East West Players, there's a back stairway going up to our offices. So I'm walking up there, and I'm on the 2nd floor on the platform, and all of a sudden in my ear, I hear very clearly, Marilyn. And it was the voice of a little boy. It was I felt it was a little boy. It could have been a little girl also. But I looked over my shoulder. No one was there. I looked down the hallway that led to the makeup rooms. No one was there. Again, I didn't get freaked out about it. I just figured, well, they say this place is haunted, so I'm sure they were just trying to get my attention. And then I went up to the office. And again, I didn't talk to it about anyone. The last thing I have is on the 3rd floor, my desk used to be sort of diagonal from Tim Dang. He's a former artistic director. And I had this metal mug, silver mug, sitting on my desk. It had a handle. And I'm just doing my work. And all of a sudden, it just goes like someone took the back of their hand and went, woo! And that mug went flying 3 to 4 feet. And Tim and I looked at each other, and I had this look on my face, as did he, of, what just happened? Couldn't explain it. And after a few seconds, the logical, disbelieving Tim said, oh, Mare, did you do that? And I said, no, absolutely not. I know for a fact that was a paranormal experience. And I haven't been able to explain it to this day. But someone hit that mug, but it wasn't me. It wasn't me. Anyway, those are my stories. Thank you.
Those are amazing, Marilyn. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Did you hear your voice? Did you hear your name whispered a lot when you were working there? Or was it just that one time?
Just that one time. But it was very loud, and it was very clear.
Wow.
And it was the voice of a child. So, yeah.
That
place is hot. But, it never scared me. I just kind of went on, with my day, went up to the offices, but I didn't say anything to anybody because I thought they'd think I'm crazy or something. But
I feel like that's a theme that no one wants to talk about it because you feel crazy. But
you know what? It's not anymore because these experiences have been happening to too many people. It's just everyone I talk to, I'll say, I didn't know that happened to you. Well, I didn't want people to think I was crazy. Anyway, thank you so much for asking me to do this.
Of course. Thank you so much for doing it. Have a good night.
Thanks. You too. Bye.
Bye. Okay, so she's amazing. I'm going to bring in our next storyteller, who is one of my favorite people, Dawn Anderson.
Hello.
Dawn Anderson. Hi.
Hi.
So I'm gonna read a little bio about you because then you're gonna sit there and you're gonna listen. So you are I added this. You're a brilliant actress.
Oh, thank
and
you.
You also appeared in our original Kaidan Project in 2017. Which is where I met you, and you have been instrumental in creating our chapter 2. So, thank you so much for being around. You're a Korean, Scandinavian American actress, writer, and intuitive based in LA. She's sensed spirits from a very young age, and in following her intuition has developed multiclare skills and now helps guide others in past life reading and healing and mediumship, connecting, clearing, and general spiritual guidance. And you have a very special story you're going to share tonight, right?
I do, yes. It's the first time I actually really dived into my sensing with spirits, and it was on accident. I sensed them when I was a child, but I blocked it away because, again, no one would believe me and imagination, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And this is when I didn't expect it, and it came up to me. So,
all right. I'm so excited. Okay. Take it away.
So this happened at the Federal in North Hollywood. I don't know how many of you have been there, have experienced any weird feelings there, but I was there upstairs for a friend's show. My friend's band was playing, and I had to go to the bathroom. Completely sober, no alcohol, no anything. And I stepped into the bathroom. Immediately when I opened the door, I felt this cold chill. My body just froze when I walked in there. But I had to use the bathroom, so I toughed it out and I went in, and I went into the first stall. And when I opened the door to the first stall, I saw hanging above me so viscerally a pair of legs and a tattered dress, like bare feet just hanging down above me. Freaked me out. I closed the stall and thought, okay, well, maybe the second stall will be okay. So I walked over and opened the door to the second stall. It was not okay. The feet, there's a second pair of legs hanging further down, closer to where I would be if I was sitting on the toilet. And so I closed the door and I thought, okay, there's one more. It was the handicap bathroom stall. And I thought, if I go into this bathroom stall, I know this spirit is going to be face to face, and I am not going to chance going in there. So I had to go to the bathroom so badly that I just went to the first stall, kind of crouched down, didn't look up. I didn't want to look up any further than the legs that I saw. Went to the bathroom, flushed, got out, was too freaked out to wash my hands. I used hand sanitizer and ran out of the bathroom. I went up to one of my friends who was there enjoying the show, our friend's show, and I told him that I had this experience in the restroom, in the women's restroom. He wanted to check it out in the men's restroom to see if he could feel anything or see anything, and nothing. He didn't see anything or feel anything. And he didn't want to go check out the women's bathroom, even though there's nobody in there. But I swore, and I still have not gone to the upstairs women's bathroom to this day. And again, this was before I honed my gifts and really learned how to communicate with spirits. But the location, looking it up later, makes sense. Because before anything was built, maybe late 1700s, it was home to the Tongva native peoples. And there was Spanish people came in and took over everything, and rebellion, all of these things happened, all this tumult. So it makes sense that I would see them hanging there. And I know that this had happened previously before modern day set it. So that's my story of the Federal. The downstairs is fine. I didn't know there was a bathroom downstairs. I would have gone down there.
Oh, okay. That's amazing. I have been up there, and now I know not to go into the bathroom.
Oh, so you haven't gone into the bathroom?
I don't think I've gone into the bathroom, but I have.
It was so visceral and like so tangible. Like it was flesh. It was that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was tattered white dresses and young women's.
Well, I wanted to ask a few questions.
Yes.
So when did you first recognize that you were sensing, and what was that process of just processing that you could see the world that way?
Well, I didn't process too much because it happened when I was really, really young. I would say maybe like 4 is when I really discovered it. So I would hear noises and hear voices and sense energies around. Mm-hmm. And of course, I would be afraid to go to bed because it was dark. And then my dad would just tell me to, toughen up. it's just your imagination. Your sister's there, you know, to the point where I would freak out. And I would just sit there and hold the blankets up. And being a child, I thought, well, if they think I'm just a head, they won't think I'm a person, and then they will go away. So I didn't really process much. I just said these mantras of you know, if anything's there to scare, harm, or hurt me or my family, please don't let me sense them. I don't want to hear them. I don't want to see them, because no one believed me, and I felt alone in that. So I didn't really process. I pushed it away when I was younger. And then as I got older, it wasn't even until maybe, I would say maybe like 2012 that I opened up again, to where every time I saw something, I wouldn't push it away.
Okay.
Yeah. So fairly recently that I allowed it to happen.
And there's a little bit, you can control that a little bit. It's an opening and a closing.
A bit. I mean, I can see spirits, you know, they're walking around, or I'll sense something, or I'll hear something, but I can control whether I want to engage or not.
I did want to ask about like what this reality looks like. I feel like I brought up with Marilyn, that nobody, like, people don't want to talk about it necessarily. Like, we're getting better at talking about it, but there is also this like Hollywood version of what seeing a ghost is.
Mm-hmm.
So from like your own experiences and just from other things I've heard, that they might appear very differently to different people, and people have different ways of feeling things and communicating. So what do you see that reality being for you? How does it differ from what we might typically think of as seeing a ghost?
Well, I think a lot of Hollywood movies and media like that likes to portray spirits as evil, things to be really afraid of, haunting, like, and I don't see them that way. In my majority of connecting with spirits, it's generally been souls who are either still stuck here, don't know how to move through, and they've generally been either lost, confused, or sad. Sometimes they're angry with life, right? Their life or how things ended. But most of the time, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's mischief, and there's, you know, the energies that are a little bit not there for your best interest. But in my personal experience, I've always come to connect with them in a way to see what they need to move through and for understanding. And a lot of times it's, I can see them, and it's not usually as tangible as what I described at the Federal. Yeah. It's like I can see them as if you would see maybe a hologram in the location, and I can hear them speaking. Yeah, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I could ask you a million more questions, but I wanted to ask if somebody is experiencing something and maybe is at the beginning of that journey, do you have any advice for how to go about it, or to protect themselves, or anything?
Mm-hmm. Sure. I know I did help people at Kaidan when they came in and they were afraid, because I knew there were spirits in the warehouse that they might be a little bit sensing to. So what I like to express to people who, you're not crazy. This isn't your imagination. Like, you can trust it. It's your intuition opening and connecting with energy, because we're all energy. And when we pass on, we're still just energy, right? So a good way to help protect yourself, there are different methods, but I really like imagining your light energy, your essence protection energy within your brain, and having it throughout your so it creates a shield around you and protects you. You can also ask your ancestors and guides to look out for you as well, if you're afraid. But within that protection, you can connect. If you feel more comfortable in the daytime, that's a good time to connect with them. And also, if you want to connect with loved ones, you can ask them to visit you in your dreams, because our defenses are more open and we're more vulnerable and open to connect during dreams. And then when you wake up, just write down or record your messages that you heard.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You broke up a little bit. So it was a light, imagining a light in your chest.
Oh, yeah. So I like to imagine this warm light that is your energy essence that's connected to everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is beautiful energy that you are and everyone is. So you imagine this warm, beautiful light expanding through your body and expanding throughout and creating this sort of amoebic shield around you. And that you can let things permeate or not. And that way, when you connect, nothing can come in and through.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time and for
You're
the great
welcome.
story. And I know I will be seeing you soon. So
yes, thank you for having me.
bye. Taking you out. Hi. All right. Everyone's amazing so far. I do have a very, very special guest who some of you might know. She's very mischievous. I don't know if you recognize the Oni. Hello, Oni.
Chelsea! Oh, am I on? Am I doing the tech right?
Yes, I can see you. You're doing great. So the Oni was actually one of the stars of our original Kaidan Project as well, Walls Grow Thin. And Oni will be actually appearing in Chapter 2 as well. So we're very excited to have you back.
It's very good.
Usually you're found wandering around the graveyard, forcing monks to tell you stories with biwas and things, but you're going to tell us a story tonight, right?
Yes. Oh, I love the monks with biwas, my favorite. But yes, one more story tonight.
Okay, let's see what you got.
Okay. So, this story is a very personal and sentimental one to me. It is a very serious, contemplative, and life-changing tale that takes shivers down my spine. Just kidding. I don't even have a spine. No. This is just one of those little stories my ma used to tell to me. Back when I was a young demon. Nothing too serious about it. I was pulling your leg, which is funny because I don't have legs either. I can pull yours, but you can't pull mine back. Anyway, so this is the story of the Yuki Onba. So, this is the way my ma used to tell it to me. It is said that on snowy, cold nights, a very dangerous woman comes out of the forest, and she is not to be trusted. One night, a lone traveler was walking through the snow. Crunch, crunch, crunch. However, footsteps sound in snow. I wouldn't know. I don't have feet either. Anyway, the traveler runs into a poor woman with a baby. Which is weird, right? Just standing there in the forest. And they're both so blue with cold, so cold. And this is what the woman does. She comes over to the man and begs him to hold her baby. Which is weird, right? So the man does it. He takes the baby and boom! He's frozen to the spot, unable to move. And the Yuki Oba as the snow drifts all around the man, freezing him to death. But it's a trick. You see, if the man had refused to hold the baby, the Yuki Onba would have pounded him in the head like a hammer pounds a nail, driving him into the snow. So, if you ever see a woman offering you a baby, you're probably a goner. And so is life.
Wow, thank you so much.
Yes, my mother had lovely stories always.
Beautiful stories. So great bedtime stories. Thank
Yes, yes, yes. Kisses, kisses. Give my love to Lisa.
you. Okay, I will. Okay, how do we follow up that? Well, there's only probably one person who could follow that up. It's Bill Wantanabe, which a lot of people probably know Bill. He earned his master's degree in social welfare and has since he dedicated his life to the service of Japanese Americans and marginalized communities. He founded the Little Tokyo Service Center and ran that for 30 years, and he probably knows every single ghost story in Little Tokyo. He sent a little story for us, so let's see what story he's going to share with us tonight.
Okay. Hi, I'm Bill Watanabe, and I'm with the Little Tokyo Historical Society. And I've been giving Little Tokyo ghost tours for the past 4 years. And so I've kind of bumped into people who've told me stories about things that they've seen or experienced in Little Tokyo, and particularly at the East West Players Theater and the Union Center for the Arts. I was told that there was an old man named Mr. Takahashi who was a live-in caretaker at the Union Church before it became the Union Center for the Arts. And he lived there for a long, long time by himself and took care of the building. And after the church moved to another location, and around that same time, he passed away. And so some people think that his spirit might still be in the building that he cared for so long. Little Tokyo is a very old historic neighborhood, and so who knows, of all the people who've passed through Little Tokyo, they have their connections and attachments that maybe their spirits don't want to leave. There was a story that I had heard, and Andy Lowe heard in an audition, and she saw an old man standing in the balcony when no one was supposed to be there. And other people have mentioned to me that they have seen an old man. And what really struck me was about a year ago, I was at a reception. It was a political fundraiser, as I recall. And I bumped into Gedi Watanabe, an actor who had performed a number of times at the East West Players Theater. And Getty asked me, so, Bill, what have you been up to? And I told him, actually, I'm doing this ghost tour in about a week or so. And and I said, in fact, we'll be stopping off at the East West Players Theater. And then without any prompting at all, Getty says, the old man. I saw the old man. I saw. And so apparently the old man at the old East West Players Theater, or I should say the old Union Church, which is now the East West Players Theater, is someone that people have seen from time to time. And so that's the story that I think I like the most. The old man who's still there watching over the building to make sure it's cared for.
That's so beautiful. Thank you, Bill, for sending that story. So our next speaker is also one of my favorite people. I just brought on all my favorite people tonight. Thomas Thomas Morinaka. Welcome.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm cool, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So Thomas, for those of you who don't know him, he's an actor who is originally from Hawaii. He's an award-winning fight director, and he's also mastered skills in stage combat, Japanese theater and theater movement, Japanese literature and history. He's also recently told me that his father was a stonemason who built gravestones for the Japanese community, and Thomas actually learned that skill too. So you've spent a lot of time in cemeteries.
Quite a bit.
So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to give you the stage now. You can tell everyone what you're going to share.
Thank you. Hey, how's it, everybody? Thomas Isao Morinaka here. So, everybody telling their own personal stories about their encounters with spirits and stuff like that. And I got some, but I'm here to more tell you about, some stories that I heard in Hawaii, from where I'm from. Now, I'm a JA, Japanese American. I don't have any Hawaiian blood, but I hung out with a lot of Hawaiians. And when you're born and raised in a place like Hawaii, you learn a lot of spooky stories about like that stem from the Hawaiian history and that stem from other cultures' history. One story I want to tell you right now is about the night marchers in Hawaii, which you may have heard of if you've ever been there or lived there. So when I was growing up, we heard the story about the night marchers, and we were told that if you ever are out hiking at night or on the beach and you hear drums or chanting, or if you see lights lined up like torches, then you should get down on the ground, bury your face in your palms, and not look, because those are the night marchers. And the night marchers are ancient Hawaiian warriors who would march from one point to another, escorting the ali'i, the chief. And if you get in their way, then they're going to kill you. They're going to take you away. You're not supposed to look at the ali'i either. So you bury your face in your hands so you cannot see. Now, this is what I was told when I was a kid. And so I just wanted to make sure that I got it right. So I called up my friend before this thing. My friend in Hawaii, Ho'ai Lincoln. She's Native Hawaiian. She's an actor, singer, storyteller. She is a company member with Honolulu Theater for Youth. She knows all this stuff. She's an expert. So I called her up and I told her, hey, this is what I heard about the night marchers. Is that what you understand? And she said, yeah, pretty much. But, she said to me, I never understood why everybody thinks that they're so spooky, because although they are to be feared, all they're really doing is their job. They're ancient warriors that come back on certain days when the moon is in a certain way, and they escort the ali'i from one place to another. So as long as you're not in their way, they're going to leave you alone. And that's the most important thing. So you just bury your face in your hands. You don't look at them, no matter what. You let them pass. You don't get in their way. And eventually, it'll be cool. But there's other stories that you hear when you live in a place like Hawaii. Like when so many different cultures and so many different people immigrate to a place, they not only bring their culture and their food and whatever, but they also bring their gods and their ghosts. So one very popular ghost story in Hawaii is about the Waialae Drive-In that's in Kahala. Now, the Waialae Drive-In was built in the mid-50s, I want to say 56. And in 59, there was a newspaper article on how this one woman went into the bathroom of this drive-in. And when she came out of the stall, ghosts like to hang out in bathrooms. Huh? Anyway, so when she came out of the stall, she saw this woman brushing her hair in the mirror, long hair. And then when the woman turned around, she had no face. Now this ghost, this no-face woman ghost, is very common in Japanese folklore, no perabo, or some people call it a mujina, but the Japanese call it a no perabo. But ever since that ghost was seen in I want to say 59, and they wrote a newspaper article about it, people have been seeing it all the time. And not just Japanese people, all kinds of people, Haole people, Filipino people, like people from all across the board. And then they tore that drive-in down in '86. And then ever since then, it's been seen all around that area, in bathrooms, all around that area. I guess ghosts like to hang out in bathrooms. But anyway, the point is, if you go to Hawaii and you're in Kahala and you see a faceless lady, probably good to run away, but at least you know she's Japanese.
Those are awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The bathroom thing. I went on a ghost tour in Hollywood, and Marilyn Monroe is apparently haunting at least 3 bathrooms just on Hollywood Boulevard alone. So maybe the bathroom thing is...
I don't know. Maybe it's because people are isolated or something like that. Who knows?
Who knows? I did want to ask you one more question, though. You said you had a friend who had a theory about why ghosts haunted theaters.
I do. A friend of mine, Noelle Poole, who I went to college with, she was in children's theater. She came up with a theory of why all theaters are haunted. And the theory is that since theater is basically, rooted in religious practice, that whenever you do any kind of theater show, it's sort of religious by its root. And so it attracts spirits. It's a very spiritual thing, and so spirits from all over will become attracted to where plays are performed because they're rooted in this, spiritual or religious kind of thing.
I really love that.
I like it too. I think it's probably right.
There's a concentration of energy at the very least. Yeah.
Definitely draws them in.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Thomas.
Thank you.
I will see you very soon.
Yes, for sure.
All right. So, really great stuff so far. And I have another great storyteller who is a writer who's been in a fellowship with me, and she's a great storyteller and also a sensing person. This is Natalie Mann. Hello, Natalie. Oh, you're muted.
Hi, Chelsea.
This is 2020. We're unmuting ourselves, meeting ourselves is what we're doing. So Natalie is an educator. She holds a Master's of Arts and Humanities from San Francisco State University. And before being selected as a 2018 PEN America Emerging Voices Fellow, she attended VONA Voices and Tin House Summer Workshops, which we went to together, which was fun. And I think there's something you're going to tell about that later. Her writing has also appeared in Angel City Review, The Rattling Wall, and the anthology Only Light Can Do That. She's currently working on a memoir based on her experiences growing up in a multi-ethnic family in the San Fernando Valley. And she's currently attending Bennington writing seminars. Welcome, Natalie.
Thank you so much for having this, Chelsea. This is incredible.
So you have thank you for being here.
Okay, so
I'm gonna give you you're breaking up a little bit, but I'm gonna give you the stage and just jump on in.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so my name is Natalie Mann, and I'm working on a multi-ethnic memoir at the same time that I'm telling the story. What I'm realizing is that my first stories regarding spirits, I was listening to Dawn, and I'm realizing maybe this is why I couldn't sleep as a child and why I had an imaginary friend. Maybe it was like a spirit or something, not actually like an imaginary being. But I remember my dad telling us the story about when he went to India after cremating my grandmother. He and my uncle were in a car accident with my grandmother's ashes. I was like about 7 or 8 at the time. And it was raining really hard. It was like monsoon season. And the taxi driver, did whatever it had to do. But my dad was holding on to ashes to make sure that they wouldn't spill. And as they were in this accident, both he and my my uncle heard my grandmother actually ask if they were okay. So I think a lot of my stories have just kind of existed within my cultural DNA. And although there were experiences I have had in the house ever since I was like young, the first time I ever experienced a spirit, like collectively, I was driving with my brother in the car. We went to go pick up my sister, who was studying at a local coffee house down the street near CSUN, Cal State Northridge. And earlier that month, she had been telling us how she was hearing somebody call her name. And my brother and I were just like, okay, that's kind of interesting. You're hearing somebody call your name, like this disembodied voice, call your name in the house. And she said it was like happening a lot. So one night, it was Halloween. It was one of those windy Halloweens, not one of those hot Halloweens. And we were driving in the car to go pick her up because she was studying for AP exams in Common Grounds, this coffee place. And as my brother and I were driving, everything was super quiet except for the winds. The radio was off, and we were just kind of tired, going there late at night to pick her up. And somewhere from the back of the car, we heard somebody whisper, Nina, my sister's name. And we both just looked at each other simultaneously, and we were like, did you hear that? And we kind of just acknowledged the fact that we did hear this voice. So many years had passed because my sister was in high school, and it wasn't until probably about a couple of years ago that we finally told her what had happened, and we didn't want to freak her out more. So that is my story. I've also had other stories happen between and around that time, but that is probably the most descriptive story I have to share.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you questions too, because you also are sensing. When did you notice or realize that you could communicate with spirits in any way?
I don't know. I think it happened a little bit later in life for me, but I've always had an awareness that there was like communication with spirits and ghosts going on in my family, with like the incident that I talked about with my dad. And my aunt would often talk about seeing my grandmother's ghost on my mom's side of the family, not my dad's side, seeing my grandmother's ghost in their old house. And so there's always been like that awareness. I remember one time when I was in high school, I was meditating and just feeling and knowing something else was there besides me. And it just like freaked me out. And I just like got up and like walked away. And I think that was when I realized that I had this similar ability, or I don't know, I think everybody has the ability, but I had this capacity to understand what was around me a little bit more deeply, and it kind of freaked me out. And then like what Don was saying earlier, I think I just decided to shut that part out until I just had more experiences starting to happen as it was opening up a little bit more.
So how do you see this reality of speaking to spirits that's different than the crazy Hollywood version that we all know, which is fun, but not necessarily what you should expect necessarily in a real situation? How do you see that?
You know, it's so funny because for me, it's like different spirits come to me different ways. Like male energy appears to me differently than female energy. And oftentimes it's like energy that I have a connection to that appears. And then people who I know I have messages for, I'll just like have a thought come in my head, and it's like, I know it's not my thought. I know that thought is something, it's like somebody talking to you, but it's like a silent talk, and you have that information, and it's usually from somebody who might have passed, and you just, it's like this person needs to know this. And I remember there was like one time where I had a friend and his brother had a message for him, and it took me 2 years before I actually had the courage to tell. It was like a very simple message, but it took me 2 years before I had the courage to even say anything, because it's like people often might think that you're crazy for thinking these, for having these experiences. But but usually I could walk into a place and I know that there's stuff happening in there, or that the place is quote unquote haunted. And it's usually like I put the white light around me just to protect myself. There was only one place where it was like, I need to get out. And it wasn't like that entity or that spirit was making itself like obvious to me, but I could just feel it, and I could feel its aggression. It was actually the Citizen Hotel in Sacramento, and I just Googled it before, and I guess other people have had experiences there as well.
Okay.
So
well, do you have any other advice for anyone who might have an experience or might feel like they're sensing something, and how to process that or deal with it or anything?
I think what Don was said was important in terms of knowing that you could put the boundaries up, that you have control as to whether or not you want to let them in or not. And I think knowing that you have that power is like important. One of my friends was having a haunting in her apartment, and I just gave her the advice of like, move your bed, put like crystals around you, sage, just tell it that you don't want it to go near you. Both she and the dog were noticing this entity, the spirit, and it just stopped. It just stopped, bothering her after she basically did that. So, but I did have an experience at Tin House.
Oh, yes. Tell me about it.
So Chelsea and I were both at Tin House in 2017.
Yes.
Yeah. And I just, whenever I'm in new places, I always want to sleep with the light on, like, or have a little light on. It's just like, I think it goes with the ghost stuff. But one of the first few nights that I was there, I think it was like the second or third night, like I had a mist, a gray, like, mist just appear by my bed, and you're like, yeah, I think
I remember this story now.
Okay, and then I just had a few other experiences happen there as well, and anyway, so like the last day, I just was like, I don't want to be here alone, and everyone had left, and I just had a feeling that I did not want to be there alone. And it was probably the first time I ever saw anything so clearly in terms of what Dawn was saying as a hologram, because usually I get like color, I get sound, or I get like a thought. I don't ever see anything like pure like that. But on the way out, just dragging my luggage past the common kitchen, there was a woman, and she was just like, she just looked so happy, and she was like blonde, just really young, like she looked like she was like in her 20s, just sitting there at the table. Like finally, it almost was like finally I could just like be in my space again. And she was just sitting there at the table with her hands folded on the table and just smiling, and I could like see right through her.
Wow.
It was like that was like the clearest time, but usually it doesn't appear to me like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing all of this.
Thank you, Chelsea.
I'll talk soon. Okay, so we have 2 more stories, and then we're going to show you a little sneak peek of our next Kaidan Project chapter. So this next little story is a ghost that I met last night. His name is Giles. He's a little bit shy, but he really wanted to tell a story tonight, so I made a little room for him. So let's please welcome Giles the Ghost.
So I met this Lyft driver on a ride last week. I'm an Angelino, but no license. They don't like ghosts driving. Probably because of all the booze. Yeah, so this driver worked in Tokyo and was in Hawaii for a while before settling here. And he drove cabs of all sorts everywhere he went. And other drivers were always talking about passengers who'd disappear. But it never happened to him until he came to L.A. So it's a rainy night, which it's L.A., so already weird. He picks up this young woman near Forest Lawn Cemetery, and she's drenched and cold. It's dark, so he doesn't get a good look at her face, but she seemed sad. Which, I mean, she was at a cemetery, so I guess that's what you'd figure. The address she gave was all the way back in Little Tokyo. So they drive, and when they get there, she's just staring up at the apartment building. Never gets out. Just watches a shadow of a guy move around. After 10 minutes, she tells the Lyft driver to take her out to Altadena, of all places. So they get to this house, and the Lyft driver looks back, and well, you can guess it. She's gone. He's in total shock that it happened to him. So he's sitting here, not sure what to do, and this man who lives in the house comes walking out and hands the Lyft driver exact change for the fare. Yeah, he explained that the young lady was his daughter, that she'd been buried at Forest Lawn a few years ago, and from time to time, she would hail a cab, visit her old boyfriend's apartment, and then come home. He always had the exact fare handy, just in case. And you know what I did to that Lyft driver after we got where I was going? I tipped him extra. What? Did you think I would have disappeared? That's not the kind of spirit I am, folks. That's not the kind of spirit I am.
Thank you, Giles. Wonderful to meet you. Okay, so we have one more story. It's from Jasmine Orpilla, who is an actress and someone who actually starred in our original Kaidan Project as well. And she's also on our development team for our Chapter 2. Jasmine is an occultist and a ritual performance artist raised in northern Japan and the Philippines. Although she addresses very current political circumstances in the following reading, she ultimately is paying respect to her own relatives that were lost in World War II and the commemorated Japanese American 442nd Regimental Combat Unit. So let's enjoy this reading from Jasmine.
I came here to show you this fence. It's a chain link fence with barbed wire. It holds a lot of meaning. The fence was put up by the living in order to satisfy a sense of control over circumstances that are beyond them. It's a useless fence, supposed to divide, when in reality it's a futile show of power on the part of the living's ignorance, really, because you cannot corral souls to convenient places. In order for me to be here, I have to stand on somebody's grave, and so the fence means absolutely nothing. I'm so sorry. There are graves everywhere beyond the confines of this fence. The fence might stop at one visible point, but the graves continue because there are resting places everywhere you go, and there are particles of lost loved ones everywhere underfoot, and it's highly likely that you tread upon them. So, to the people who want to maintain a sense of control and who erect these fences and these divisions, I want to call out the futility of your power play. It makes me angry. The motivations of your greed run rampant. This greed causes unrest even amongst the dead, who are stacked and stacked upon layers of grief and more unrest. And it's an exponential feeling that spreads even amongst the living, who have no idea where they're walking.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. Okay, so it's what everyone's been waiting for. As I mentioned, we have been wanting to do a Kaidan Chapter 2, but since we are all stuck at home right now, we decided to make Kaidan for your pocket. So we're working on a little project, a little Chapter 2 of Kaidan Project, which we're calling Kaidan Project Alone, and it'll be for iOS and Android very soon. Let's see a little sneak peek of that.
Go on. Stand up and go to your front door. No, not the one on the screen. Your real door. Hello? This feels wrong. It's time to go home.
Everyone like that? We really can't wait to share this with you. It'll be coming very soon. If you want to sign up for our email list so that we can tell you when it's launching, you can go to kaidanproject.com. And you can also follow East West Players and Rogue Artists on social media and go to our website. We'll be announcing new things coming very soon. And East West Players has a lot of things happening, and so do we. A lot of projects coming up for December. So just sign up, keep up to date, and I hope you'll join us in the virtual realm very, very soon. Until we meet again, be careful when you shut out the lights. And, remember you're not alone. The spirits are all around us.